This is a B2 video from the topic organisation, and this time we're looking at blood vessels. Okay, so here we can see the massive network of blood vessels through the body. Okay, really high concentrations of capillaries around the brain, around the body organs, in particular they're the digestive system and the lungs. Okay, and we can see those blood vessels through the hands and going up through the body to the head. Okay, this is some more pictures from Body Worlds. Okay, so you can see this is where someone's donated their body to science and they've had liquid plastic put through their body, and then we get to see this structure, amazing structure of the blood vessels. And here again, just to show how many blood vessels, how many capillaries in particular there are surrounding the brain and the digestive system for the diffusion of substances to respiring cells and also to get the products from digestion into the blood. So let's look. We've got three types of blood vessel: artery, vein and capillary. And the arteries connect to capillaries and the capillaries connect to veins. Arteries take blood away from the heart. That means that the blood is at really high pressure because it's been pumped by the heart to increase the pressure to allow it to get to the body cells or to the lungs. Okay, and if we look at the diagram there, we've got a really small lumen. Now the lumen is the space that the blood flows through. So just like when you get a hose pipe and you put your finger over the end and it increases the pressure, you've reduced the size of the lumen. Okay, so small lumen helps to increase the pressure. It's increased as well by that pumping of the heart. And because it's at such high pressure, we don't want the blood vessel to rip or tear. So you can see that the outer wall and the muscle fibres are really thick. Okay, the aorta, which is the artery leaving the left side of the heart, is the thickest blood vessel in the human body. Okay, so arteries away from the heart, very high pressure, thick muscular wall, small lumen. Okay, next look over to capillaries, because the artery feeds into a capillary. Capillaries is where all of the diffusion of substances occur, whether that is moving oxygen and glucose into respiring cells or taking carbon dioxide and water away from respiring cells, or allowing glucose to get from the small intestine through the villi into the blood, or oxygen through the alveoli into the blood, carbon dioxide from the blood into the alveoli. All of those processes, all of those diffusion mechanisms occur through capillaries, and capillaries are only one cell thick, allowing that easy diffusion of substances into and out of the capillaries. Okay, then the capillaries feed into veins. Veins go into the heart because they've got the word in. That helps us remember veins go into the heart. Much larger lumen, okay, allows the blood to flow. Thinner muscular wall, but be careful how you word it, because obviously it's thinner than the aorta, but it's not as thin as the capillaries. Okay, and veins have valves. Okay, valves prevent the backflow of blood, and so we can see on that picture just to the side of the main vein picture and at the picture at the bottom, we have this valve which allows the blood through in one direction, and then it can't go back on itself. The valve won't allow the blood to go back on itself, so it keeps it moving in one direction, and it needs that because the pressure is really low in the veins. Okay, so to keep that momentum going, keep the blood flowing, valves are really, really important. No need for valves in arteries because the pressure is so high, it just continues to flow in the direction that it's needed. Let's look at a summary then. So arteries take blood away from the heart. They're very thick. They have a small lumen to cope with the high pressures of the blood. The arteries feed into capillaries. They join arteries and veins. They're only one cell thick, which allows for good diffusion of substances through the walls in the alveoli, in the villi. Okay, moving those reactants needed for respiration into the blood. Veins come after the capillaries, taking the blood back into the heart. Okay, much lower pressure, very wide lumen, and the valves prevent the backflow of blood. Let's see how those connect together. Okay, so there's an artery leaving the heart. It's an oxygenated artery, because we can see that because it's red. So that must be the aorta. Okay, those capillaries allowing the oxygen and the glucose to diffuse across into body cells ready for respiration. And then the vein has become deoxygenated. The carbon dioxide, the water, those products of respiration coming out of the capillaries into the vein. That vein must be the vena cava, and it's taking that back to the blood to get that little extra push to then oxygenate that blood again at the pulmonary artery, and then go through the capillaries and the pulmonary vein. So again, here, just another way of looking at it, okay? So we've got a bit of a 3D image here, the small lumen of the artery, the thick muscular wall, the veins in the valves, the larger lumen, okay? Connected by capillaries, okay? Capillaries at body cells or capillaries at the lungs. Let's look at a foundation level question then. So we've got a picture of an artery, we've got a picture of a vein. It reminds us what the lumen is. We can see comparisons, and it says give 2 differences in the structure of an artery compared with the structure of a vein for 2 marks, okay? So one really obvious one we can say is that there is a smaller lumen in the artery than in the vein. 1 mark. We could say that the muscular tissue in the artery is thicker than in the vein. 2nd mark. Same for the elastic tissue, it's slightly thicker in the artery than the vein. And then we can add into there, because we know it, that veins have valves, okay, and that's to prevent the backflow of blood. If we want to say how the muscular walls and the lumen affect the pressure, we could do, but I think we're probably safe with 2 marks there. Let's look at a higher level question. Arteries and veins have different structures and different functions. Explain how the different structure of arteries and veins relates to their different functions. Okay, so we can talk about, this is a 6 marker, okay, so let's try and do 3 marks on arteries, 3 marks on veins. So artery has a thicker wall, okay. Why does it have a thicker wall? Because it has to withstand that high pressure, okay. It's got the thick elastic fibers, so it can stretch. It's got the small lumen, okay. It's got the thicker muscle layer. Let's go on to the veins. Veins have valves that they prevent backflow of blood, and we can also say that they have a larger lumen. And we can also add into there that arteries take blood away from the heart, veins take blood into the heart, okay? Don't refer to oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, because there isn't a rule, okay? Some arteries, some veins contain oxygenated, deoxygenated blood. There isn't a rule there. Remember, we said that it's the left side of the heart that's oxygenated and the right side of the heart that's deoxygenated, okay? And there's veins and arteries on both sides there. Okay, hope you found that useful. Thank you.